chance I'll find it. Okay, so I didn't find it. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Shamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Never says the Srimati. If you can't find it on my computer, I found it here. Just give me one moment. Normally, I don't read my offerings because I'm a bit of a spontaneous person. But since I wrote the offering for the book, I thought, well, I should read it because it would be official. And now I see it's not in alphabetical order. So maybe Krishna doesn't want me to read it. Okay. They didn't put it in alphabetical order. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I've been listening to some of your offerings, and it's always such an inspiration to hear how much Prabhupada has shaken all of us up, and how deeply his teachings have gone in our heart, and to reflect on what that means in our lives. And I'm always so, this is my favorite day. I'm always so moved to hear everyone. And so when I was hearing, I was thinking of a story, and Shrutikirti said this, Srila Prabhupada, he said, you know, your books are the foundation, but I think if you didn't come to America and your books came, we wouldn't have seen what we see now. And Prabhupada said, yeah, that's true. So as I was hearing all the devotees speaking, I was thinking, it's the same thing with Prabhupada's disciples. We have his books, but without his disciples living that example, how will people become Krishna conscious? And so I think we all realize or reflect on this from time to time, how Prabhupada's disciples are his greatest gifts, because, and grand disciples, all devotees. Look what Prabhupada created. We went to India in 1975, and so one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, he said, we don't have service here outside the morning and evening program, so what are we supposed to do? And Prabhupada said, people will be looking at you, the Indian people will be watching you to see how you behave. So your service is to behave like a perfect Vaishnava. And then when they see your behavior, they will think, you're a spiritual master. He must be special to create such a special person. So I think the greatest glorification of Srila Prabhupada is our lives. And, you know, we all of us have thought what our lives would be like if we didn't meet Prabhupada. And, you know, sometimes someone would say, I'd be living on the street, I'd be homeless, I'd be a drug addict, this and that. And maybe in some cases that's true, but I think in many cases we would be quasi-spiritualist with some not so great guru and somewhat or entirely misdirected. That's probably more likely where we would end up. So look what Prabhupada has created. He's created these amazing devotees, and that's testimony to his power. When Prabhupada went to India in 1970, his main preaching strategy was to show the Indian people, here are Western-born people who've become pure devotees. Kind of like saying, hello, do you see what's happening? Do you see the potency? These people became devotees. Are you seeing? They're actually more advanced than you are. Take note of that. This is the power of Krishna consciousness. This is real. And we know, although Prabhupada said, the reason they become purified is because I'm speaking something pure. We know it's because who Prabhupada was. That's what was changing everything. And a lot of the second, third generation or new devotees who didn't meet Prabhupada, they say, oh, you Prabhupada disciples, you're so special, you're so this, you're so that, you sacrifice so much, you're so austere. etc., etc. And I say, well, if you met Srila Prabhupada, you would also be like that. It's not that we're special. If you met Srila Prabhupada with an open heart, then he would get in your heart and he would change you. So although Prabhupada was very humble and saying, well, I'm nothing, I'm just repeating the words of my guru. We're all repeating the words of Prabhupada, but the person Prabhupada, who has that Shakti, that purity, he affected us. He affected us deeply. So when I reflect on Prabhupada, I think, what does Prabhupada want most from us? What is the greatest gift we can offer? One writer said that the greatest gift you can offer a teacher is to exemplify, create a community that exemplifies his teachings, be an example of what he taught. So you don't even have to tell people what he taught. They just see you. And by seeing you, I can understand what your guru taught. He must have taught humility because you're humble. He must have taught purity because you're pure. He must have taught cooperation because you work so well together. And no matter what we teach, as Prabhupada said, devotees are perfect ladies and gentlemen. If we don't live like that, then we actually can't represent Prabhupada, because no one will think his teachings are practical or even believe that they work, because they don't see it in us. So I think the greatest offering we could make every year, year after year after year, to Srila Prabhupada is simply to embody his teachings and show others how to live in Krishna consciousness. And that is the ultimate in my world. It's the ultimate Vyasa-puja offering. Of course, Prabhupada, when you wrote Prabhupada, you want to write him and tell him, oh, Prabhupada, we opened a temple, we distributed so many books, we had this Rath Yatra. Prabhupada loved to hear that. And of course, we understand that's important for Prabhupada. But be an example while we do that is even more important. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Srila